Hello, everyday leaders. Tonight is Monday, and it is, I look up here, November the 23rd. It's 3 days before Thanksgiving. Last
Mm,
night, last night we had on Diane Dick with the Everyday Leaders
mm,
Platform Games, which if you missed that, go back to the YouTube or the Facebook or the LinkedIn and look for yesterday's post because we learned all kinds of things, scavenger hunt, trivia post about Thanksgiving, things you can do with your kids, and anybody in your life that you're doing a virtual Thanksgiving for. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that. And then Diane's group again is Play with Purpose on Facebook. So you can find
mm.
her, and she has the PowerPoint that she'll send you. So, hey, David Mumford, how are you? Good to see you tonight. So, tonight I have
Mhm,
a special guest, and he's a coach. He is somebody that you really want to tie into because when Nathan and I met on LinkedIn, again, a great platform,
mm.
I said, I have to know you. I've seen things about what you're posting, and you believe what I believe.
Mm,
And so you guys know the Everyday Leaders platform. This is all about building your inner circle. And so this is what this is
mm,
about tonight. You when you reach out to someone on these platforms, we're quarantined, but social media can be a godsend for you.
mm.
So this is exactly what happened. Nathan and I have had one conversation and it was like we had known each other for years. I said, "You gotta come on. You gotta come on. We gotta talk about this." So, this is gonna be a fun show. It's again, it's everything that you guys if you wanna ask questions, please put those in the comments wherever you're watching. If you are replaying this, let us know that you're replaying this, and we're gonna give you some information on how to improve the results that
Mm,
you want in your life tonight.
mm.
So, Nathan Schultz, thank you for joining us.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. I've already learned a lot just getting the info on the virtual Thanksgiving. So I'm super excited to check that out, and it really hit me when you talked about how we met, and it just reminded me of the synchronicity of life, and it was just a nice incentive for me to just like keep on my path, keep doing what I'm doing, and like amazing people always continue to just show up and like have amazing connections, and um I just feel so nourished from really deep, authentic conversation with people who believe what I believe. So I'm really just looking forward to having some fun here.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's about, encouraging people to say, if you're thinking about reaching out to somebody, do it. Just do it
Yeah, yeah,
because the value that you can add to somebody just to maybe lift their spirits or gain knowledge or collaborate, do something different
yeah,
till the end of the year. You've got another 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks till the end
yeah,
of 2020. And you know what? That one conversation can change your whole destiny for the rest of
yeah.
your life. It absolutely can. And so when we talked, we were like, okay, we do coaching, we believe in leadership, we believe in valuing others.
Mm,
And so, but we're doing it in a really unique spaces right now, through helping other people with coaching
mm,
programs, corporate.
mm-hmm.
And so, with you being here tonight, I would just love to kind of dive into your journey. When you
Yeah.
decided or when you believed that you were ready to step into this space.
Ah, wow. Um, we're jumping right in. So there was I had about a 15-year career in corporate America, and I never felt like that was it for me. I never felt like it didn't feel like home. I always felt scared. I always felt anxious there. And it for me it took me reaching rock bottom and sort of everything in my life blowing up. And then it took another hmm, wow, it really took me 2 years of journeying of a whole process And it was about 2 years after a lot of sort of seeking and searching that it came to me that that coaching was for me. And two of the big inflection points were I met this industry association called Conscious Capitalism, and I got to the conference and I heard what they were talking about, the values around that business can be a force for good. And finally, it just made sense to me. It was like, this is actually what I believe in. And I just hadn't really heard it anywhere, or I just wasn't open to sort of to that part of myself yet. And from there, it was kind of like, oh, geez, now I need to figure out what I do in this world. Like, how do I contribute to helping business be a force for good? And that really started my journey around this word purpose, because, I really didn't even know what the word meant before. And I was CMO of a company at the time, and the CEO was talking to me about her purpose statement. And I just sort of thought it was like a load of baloney. I was like, what are you talking about, purpose statement? What does that mean? It's this like esoteric or woo-woo kind of thing. And then I went to the conference a couple months later, and by the end of the year, I was sitting in a circle in a New Year's sort of end of year yoga retreat in our opening circle. And they said, what do you want to get out of this retreat? Like, everybody's stating their intention. And I said, I'm here to find my purpose. And everybody kind of laughed. But I wasn't laughing. And I did. I got part of the way there at the end of the retreat. It was a 3-hour grueling massage in the jungle. I really couldn't really call it a massage, but I really felt my limbs were ripped apart. And it was in that process that I heard this message that I'm here to serve, or I've never in my life had really had a kind of message come to me like that. But it did. And from there, I just started trying to understand, I went through these different tools of purpose finding. And, that's a longer story, but I looked at everything that's out there, and I went through everything that looked really good. And little by little, it was like a breadcrumb trail. And I just, I had this attitude of literally a breadcrumb trail. I'm like, I don't know, show me the way. And I kept getting clues, and I just kept following the next clue. Mm-hmm. So I'll pause there.
No, I think that's great, because it's all about your intentional mindset.
Yeah.
If you hadn't said, I'm going to go search for this because it's in my soul, and I know what I've done isn't serving me. Mm-hmm. So I need to do something to stretch my mind, to elevate my thoughts. Mm-hmm. I set that up to elevate your purpose.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
but really walking through that, I love this, because so many times we say, well, I want to design this, right? I see everybody else is doing this. I compare myself, and I want to be this. I want to be a speaker. Yeah. I want to be a coach. So I'm just going to kind of put it out there, and I'm going to do it. But really getting into your soul to say, before you even begin that journey, it's taking that deep look within to go, what is that supposed to look like?
Yeah.
Because you can't design it if it's really not the why, right? It's really not the why.
Oh my gosh, you said a couple of things that really popped out at me, and one is one of the things that I was doing my entire life, which is what a friend of mine calls the should life. Like, I was just doing what I thought that I should do, and doing, kind of like following in my father's footsteps, sort of kind of hard-nosed, hard-laced, just like trying to be a business guy. Always looking at my peers around me and seeing what everybody else is doing, and asking other people for guidance on what I should do, versus really looking inside. And then when I started looking inside, what I discovered was, I kind of had my pen and my paper and I was like, okay, I'm going to like design this. And what I found is I couldn't really design it, but what I could do is just continue to try to uncover it. Mm-hmm. Just uncover what is there versus make something or build something, right? It was more about just discovering myself. Mm-hmm. And I'm still doing this. I'm still doing that today, which kind of gives me excitement, and it offers this idea that there's an unknown in life. And what I've also found is like when there's nothing left for me to discover in life, or I think I have it all figured out, and I'm going to follow these next 5 steps, and that's life. It just really bums me out. So it's really a continual process for me, even though I've made great strides, and I kind of have some visioning for the future, but I still hold at the same time I don't know. Mm-hmm. And I'm always looking for clues and breadcrumbs, and who's the next person I should meet, or would be good for me to meet, like yourself, or that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Don't you think when you talk about this, it's that authenticness, right? It's because kind of how you see it, but it's really hard to say, I'm going to put it together like this, because nothing is linear, right? It just doesn't go this step and then this step and then this step.
Yeah.
Even if you have a vision for like, oh, I want to be here in a year.
Yeah.
There's so many things. And if you close your mind down to it has to be a certain way, because like you said, you compare, you're supposed to do it this way. And people have told you like, you're not successful unless you do this, right? You should know at a certain point that you, so my favorite book, I'm going to bring this up here, The 15 Laws of Growth. I love this book. I teach a class on it because it talks about gaps, intentional growth and gaps. And part of that talks about comparison gap, and it can suffocate you. Right. And so and I hear you say that, because if you're looking at, well, I should be doing it like this because I've been told that this is the life that I should be living, then you're always thinking of, well, if I don't feel that way, then I must have some anxiety that I need to get there faster.
Yeah.
And that can really stress you out, right? That can really drive you crazy.
I'm really victim to that whole cycle. It causes anxiety for me if I'm not doing it right, if I have this thing where it's like I got to do something and then I'm not doing it right, so part of my practice is just to strip that all away. Like there's no doing it right, there's no should. Everything's happening for me. Everything, I get to decide the meaning of everything, and apply growth mindset, meaning like there's no such thing as failure. It's like every single thing that happens, even if it's quote unquote negative, I get to learn from, and I get to understand then how I want to do the next thing different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So talk to me about when you didn't believe, right? So everybody goes through this process of, well, I just do what I do. I'm in corporate America and it's fine.
Yeah.
And I don't really believe I have a story, or I'm so angry at everything around me because I'm not getting what I think I deserve. Right? You have that mindset. Okay, I know, right?
Yeah.
But so many people go, I want that job, or I want that corner office, or I'm here. I joined this company because I know I can do this. And then whoever, other people decide their beliefs become yours because they say, that's not your journey.
Yeah.
Right? And then you go, well, what am I supposed to do then? Right?
Yeah. Oh wow, you hit some nerves there in terms of like where I used to be. I think very much like I was just in a world of like doom and gloom. Like I just thought that I had to be there. I had to be doing those things. I was under pressure, so I wasn't enjoying it, and literally it was a life of survival. of like, okay, I got to get this next task done, this next project done. I need to impress my boss this way. I need to portray myself this way. And it was like living in a vice or a grip where I didn't even have enough wherewithal to even conceive that I might have a story, or like there wasn't even such a thing as Nathan having a story. It was just me getting up every day in anxiety and fear, literally pumping coffee, as much coffee as I possibly could, to get myself out the house, get myself to the office, and just, keep my head above water.
Mm-hmm. And always trying to live with everybody else's rules, right? Because
Yes.
you had to fit into a certain way. You had to show up and do exactly right. It's always about the review.
Yes.
I want to get 5 stars on the review. So for 365 days, I have to act like this.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. There was, as you say that, like what reflects to me is I had no sense of self. It was only trying to please others, and it was only trying to perform for other people versus, where I'm at now, which is just only about living for my truth and leading in that way. Even, as I think about like my leadership style, it wasn't from a place of what I believe. It was only from a place of watching how other people did it, trying to mimic them and try to repeat the party lines from senior leadership, and sort of use the leverage of, deadlines and what senior leadership is saying versus what I thought was true and what I thought was the right thing to do. And me personally being convicted with the sort of higher level, the management ideals and beliefs and values to the point that you're saying. I don't know. I was just never really aligned. And as I say that, you know what, I take responsibility for that. In this moment, I'm realizing that, and I take full responsibility that it's my responsibility to either do what it takes to align authentically and make the effort, or to remove myself from that situation and go find a place where I fit.
Mm-hmm. And I love that you said that, because there's so many people, I think, that are watching this now or that will be watching this on the replay. If they're on Facebook, that settling into the end of the year and saying, "Here, COVID has struck us this year," and deciding what we get to do next. Because I think this is a great
Yeah.
time that people start reflecting, being grateful for the things that they've had in their lives. But I really wanna talk about what you do as a coach, because your company is called Elevate with Purpose. And
Yeah.
so what I know about leadership is you can't
Yeah.
take someone that you've never been.
Yeah.
And so I wanna share your screen here, uh, with your website, because I want you to take us through, like, now that you discovered that you can help add value to people because you've been on this journey, right? So I
Yeah.
wanna just kinda share here your steps. So you've got 3 kind of buckets
Yeah.
that you have really figured out that's your wheelhouse that you
Yes.
can help people with.
Yes. Thanks for laying that out there. And really how I developed these 3 was it's what I do best. It's what I've lived the most. And all of it comes from all of this comes from my personal experience. And so it's the 3 buckets are executive coaching, team development, and career transition. And starting with executive coaching, my really big focus there is on leadership, and I would say relationship dynamics with other people in your workplace. The leadership piece, again, is how do you lead authentically from who you are yourself and from your strengths versus trying to correct all your weaknesses. I help people figure out how do they naturally excel and then really just blossom and bloom who somebody is in that space. The relationship dynamics also is really the heart of the team development, the second bucket. And I just have an incredible passion for helping people get along. Um, there could be a lot of reasons why that we'd have to go into my childhood to get into some of those nuggets, but suffice to say, it's wired into my DNA to help people get along, and I just love doing it. And I have so many tools and techniques that I use to help teams, either executive teams or founder teams, resolve their conflict, clear all the beef that they have from the past, and then start to align and be productive and build like warmer connection with one another. Um, and then finally, the third thing is career transition. And I decided to really focus on that more for a couple of reasons. One was COVID is here, and I feel like this is a unique time where people have enough pause in their life where they're really able to consider the choices they've made in their life and able to consider what they really want and able to get visibility if they're really happy or are aligned with where they're at right now and what they're doing with their life. And the big thing that I share there in career transition is, it's not so much how do you polish your resume, but it's about me sharing the tools that I used when I went through my own purpose discovery. So I talked about, I literally scoured the market and looked at all the tools that are out there. Well, I boiled and condensed all of those down into, for instance, a very powerful discovery session where I take 18 of the most powerful questions that I encountered and go through those over the course of 2 hours. And by the end of it, people just have big insights, big epiphanies, and it really sets sort of a true north for them, or a compass and a direction for where they really want to go with their life. And from there, we sort of have that blueprint. Then I just help them walk towards that. So there's a lot more detail to all three of those things, but that's just sort of a flavor.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I love it that there's a path, right? Because there's so many
Yeah.
people, as we're streaming to LinkedIn, I think about all the people that are in job transition right now because
Mm,
of COVID. And
yeah.
so doing an exercise that says, okay, that you've done this for a long time and maybe things are changing or you want them to change, right? You really want to find the purpose of why did you learn this skill? Why did you choose
Mm,
this career? And
mm-hmm.
and so those are the skills that actually can transfer into something different for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Instead of just maybe the brand, right? Maybe you even change
Yes.
industries because
Yes.
those same skills will work in a different industry, you just have never tapped your toe in there.
Absolutely. I help people switch industries and careers all the time. I help people build their own business where they never thought that could be possible. One of those 18 questions I ask are, we unpack the top 2 leadership experiences of your past life. And from there, I'm able to extract the blueprint of what you look like when you're at the best,
Mm.
historically. And often it's always the case where it's generic. Really, that can be used almost in any industry. And another tool that I use is called the Genius Zone. And I really dimensionalize in 4 different quadrants what people are the worst at and what people are the best at.
Mm.
And that's another honing device where if we take what you look like when you're leading at your best and we take what your genius zone is, or what are you doing when you're in flow and you are doing something super well and you're doing it effortlessly, those are amazing honing devices to go say, combine those things with your passions and where you want to make change in the world. And then there's like the mosaic, literally a mosaic, right? It's not a plan. But it's this canvas that you then get to go decide, like, what are all the different ways that I could go realize this? And so then we go into ideation and evaluation. And from that place, go into more of the real life situation of like, go test and learn, get out into the market, talk to people, have informational interviews, have real interviews, try a bunch of stuff, and then come back and let's talk. And let's hear all the things that you learned. What did you like from what you learned? What did you not like from what you learned? And continually refine what that mosaic looks like.
Mhm. That is such a great strategy. And I think how we met on LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is really that platform for professionals. And so when you're thinking about transitional opportunities, it's really a great exercise just to say, hey, is there something that I don't know about myself yet?
Yeah.
And then, we always talk
Yeah.
in leadership is when you know what you know, then you have to do different, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kinda your
Yeah.
responsibility.
Totally. I always say, now that I know what I know, there's no turning back. Like once you know that, for me, once I know the truth, I can't close my eyes anymore.
Mhm, mhm. And
Yeah.
we have to step into whatever that looks like. And so I wanna ask you just to talk about fear a little bit,
Mm. Ooh.
because sometimes that
Yeah.
can paralyze us, right? We think, "Oh, well, yeah, I could do that, but should I do that?" Right? Just because we can doesn't mean
Yeah.
we should.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, it's really can be a layered, fear can be very layered. And I'll just explain how I went through different layers of fear. The first layer of fear for me was very much a healing one. And it was one where I dealt with fear with a therapist. I dealt with fear with a mentor one-on-one and a wisdom. He's a wisdom coach. Um, and I dealt with fear through using a lot of healing modalities, things like acupuncture, things like energy healing, those sorts of things. And so it felt for me, it took a big layer off of things. And then I dealt with fear through community. And specifically, I joined a field called men's work,
Mm,
where I went on some men's retreats. I learned some amazing skills about relating to other people. And I decided to host a men's group circle in my home every week with the same, 8 guys, 3 hours every Monday night. And it was those men who got to know me and who always could tell me when I was on and when I was off. And they could really reflect back, like, is this a valid fear? Is it not? Should you do this? Should you not do that? And so having that support from men that I trusted
mm,
was incredibly valuable to help me really better hone my intuition and sense of knowing for myself, what should I do with the fear? And there was a passage of time that these challenges kept coming before me, and I was so scared of them. But I kept coming to the circle every week, and I'm like, I got this thing coming up. And somehow I just felt enough support from those people to go bust through the fear. So that was a phase of just walking through the fear and smashing it. And
mhm,
each time I did it, I got so much energy released. And it became almost like a drug where I'm like, okay, what's the next fear I'm going to go tackle?
mhm.
Um, and fear has very much dissipated for me now. And I have my own coach. In fact, I have two coaches. And so when I spiral out, I just, I call them, you do the whole phone a friend. That's what I do anyway.
Mhm. Well, that's a great advice, and I love how you intentionally, right, put these people in your life to give you
Yeah.
balance and to give you accountability, because
Yes.
sometimes we say, "Oh, well, I've got it," right? And you wanna
Yeah.
look on the outside like, "Oh, I'm so strong." None of us can do it alone,
Yes.
and if you really desire something that's bigger, it is going to be scary, and so you've
Yes.
gotta put that network of people around you that can say,
Yes.
"Hey, not every day is gonna be fantastic, but you can have more fantastic days than you can not," right?
Yes. Yes.
Because if you just
And
do it the right way, it's design, right?
oh, I had so many very unfantastic days. But it was it was it was what I call my team that helped me get there. And this is a concept I use with every client: is who is your team? Who's on your team? Who is your personal board of directors? And so I mentioned a couple of them, but I have a team that's really wide and really deep, like really amazing, powerful, wise, supportive people that I know who to go to with every single thing that comes up. And sometimes I go to multiple people. It's just, I feel like I'm 10 feet tall and bulletproof with the team that I have sitting behind me. It's just, it's really incredible. It's really incredible.
That's awesome. I think, tonight is all about hope, right? So if
Yeah.
people are watching this and they say, "Yeah, that sounds really great, and maybe I can do it too. Maybe I can do it too." That's what I hope that people that are watching this say,
Yeah.
because it's a tough
Yeah.
time, and it's
Mm,
not easy, and if you have kids at home and you're trying to teach them and you have both of you and your spouse are working and you're trying to bring your business home, and it's really
mm.
stressful this holiday season,
Yeah.
because we can't
Yeah.
do the normal things. So I really wanna encourage people to reach out to someone
Mm,
if you
mm,
need hope, if you're struggling with purpose, if you're struggling with, "What does this mean? How long will this last? I can't condition myself any
mm,
longer. I'm at my wit's end," right?
mm,
Don't give up. Don't give up,
mm.
because there's always something that's waiting for you, and maybe that is the purpose that you haven't discovered yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I so support that message. I so believe in it. And I truly believe any challenge that somebody is experiencing is an opportunity for something that they really want. And I take to heart that it is not easy, and really support that it's not always something that you can do by yourself, especially when it's really bad, like it was for me.
Mhm. Man, Nathan, I really appreciate you sharing tonight. This has been really fun. I want you
Thank
to
you.
come back anytime and share
Oh,
with
I'd love to.
and,
I'd love to.
if you guys are watching right now, if you want to go to elevatewithpurpose.com and check out Nathan and his process to be able to maybe inspire
Mm,
you to do things differently, to look at your life differently, to go through his challenge and find out if there's something that you're missing that you haven't thought about. I wanna encourage you to do that, because now
mm,
is the time. We know
mm,
that leadership is about leading ourselves first. And so if we don't do that, we can't fill ourselves up and we can't fill our cup for
mm,
others.
mm,
And that's really what this journey is about. So if we can help you, please reach out, because,
mm,
like I say, everyday leaders change the world. And that's what
mm,
we're trying to do
mm,
for our lives and others.
mm.
Nathan, thank you so much for joining tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. It was really a pleasure.
Have a great Thanksgiving. And again, go to elevatewithpurpose.com and look up Nathan and connect to him. It could change
Mm.
your life.
I
Could
love
change
that.
your life. Thank you. Have a great Thanksgiving, Nathan.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye bye.